Welcome, folks. Welcome to our live stream, another live stream during AI Literacy Week, a week dedicated to teachers, students, and families in a way that shows our dedication to making sure you understand this new technology that's coming out, AI. Everyone's talking about it. It's a big part of our lives. AI literacy is really important. We need to understand everything that we can and understand about this AI and the way it's going to impact our students. To that end, we have been bringing on some incredible minds and authors of books. There's two authors with me today, and if you would like to win a copy of their book, there is a form down in the chat. Go ahead and fill that out. We'll be buying and giving away a copy of today's authors' books. Joining me today is Dr. Trust and Dr. Maloy. They are authors of AI and Civic Engagement, 75 plus cross-curricular activities to empower your students. This book is long due in the making, and it comes out in October. But Torrey, Bob, thank you so much for coming to the stream. Tell me a little bit about the book. What inspired you to write it?
Yeah, we're very excited to have this book come out. It has definitely been in the making for quite some time, and I think civic education has become more important than ever. I mean, we're in a civic education crisis in the United States. We need more people to be engaged as citizens and make informed decisions. And of course, that's even harder nowadays with generative AI technologies that can make and spread misinformation, deep fakes, and all of the likes. And so we started thinking about, rather than the fears and worries around AI, how do you use AI creatively, critically, and innovatively to inspire and spark civic engagement in schools? So this is our just a little flyer because we don't have the book quite yet. It's coming out in October, and I'll let Bob talk a little bit more briefly about it.
Right. Well, thank you all for having me here today. I think one of the things we wanted to do with this book was show teachers and tutors and educators how to inspire kids to become engaged in their schools, their communities, and think critically about the issues and topics that are part of their lives. And politics can seem so big and vast and out of one's control, but we tried to center our activities in the book on items, topics, issues that matter to kids, matter to students in their schools, in their communities, and show them ways they can take civic actions to be involved, to make change, and to use the tools that AI and other digital technologies provide to make those changes happen. So civics becomes action civics, but it becomes relevant civics for students.
I love that. And I love the connection to taking it home, bringing the community into this piece. It's a timeless topic, civic engagement, right? Feeling it through the lens of this brand new and kind of scary technology. We've been asking all of the authors, what is your definition of AI literacy? As you are thinking this through this book or as you're in your classes, how are you defining AI literacy?
That's a great question. And I've been thinking about it because for me, I started at the University of Massachusetts Amherst in the 1980s. And so I've seen a lot of technologies and a lot of literacies develop. I can remember the first computers. I had an Apple IIe with a floppy disk drive, and computer literacy at that time meant Control L means load and Control S means save. And literally there was a faculty member who did a course kind of teaching you those mechanics. Well, we've come a long way since. But every new technology, every new digital innovation demands that students, teachers, community members understand what it is, what it isn't, what it does, and maybe what it should not be doing. And I think that for me is kind of a core to the AI literacy. We need to understand these tools. We need to see their potentials and possibilities. We need to see their risks and challenges. And so one more part of that is I think it's a critical AI literacy. That is, we have to see what AI produces, and then we have to kind of look behind the screen, look behind the platform, see who's producing AI information, how they're producing it, what their interest in profits and reasons are, so that we're thinking about the tool, but also the industry, the economics, the politics around it. So it's a big field, AI literacy. Teachers need it, students need to venture into it, community members, it's really important for them as well. So I'm sure Troy has more ideas about what she would say for AI literacy.
I think you covered it really well, and it boils down to knowing when to and when not to use AI. Students are going to be interacting with AI currently, but in their future career, their future personal lives. And they have to really understand how these tools were designed and how they work in order to really determine with an informed decision when to use these tools to improve their thinking, learning, and communication, and when not to, when it subverts their thinking, learning, and communication.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's a huge topic. There is a ton of misconceptions out there around what AI is, what it isn't, what it can do, and what it can't do. Fantastic way of defining that, by the way. I'm wondering, so what are some of the misconceptions that you are working perhaps to dismantle first?
I think there's two main misconceptions that I think are really important for educators and students. The first one is that AI is intelligent. I think my students, in particular college students, see artificial intelligence, they see the word intelligence, and they think, okay, this is something that can do what humans can do. I've even had some of my 18-year-olds literally say, well, it does what humans can do, right? It's as intelligent as humans. Generative AI technologies are quite simply predictability or guessing machines. When it comes to large language models, they basically work by predicting which words go together to make the most plausible human sounding response with no regard to factual accuracy. They want to impress the user to make it seem like they're human, but they're not. And so this becomes really problematic when students are turning to these tools. Their number one reason is to find information, but more recently for relationships and companionships, when these tools actually are designed to kind of appease the users or just guess which information is the best to provide. And so I definitely think there are some helpful uses of these tools, knowing how they work, but considering them intelligent right now, I think is a really worrisome issue. And another misconception I do want to just add in there really quickly for teachers is that AI is a time saver. I see a lot of companies promoting generative AI technologies as they'll do your lesson plans for you. You'll get back 10 hours of your work week. You don't need to grade anymore. And again, going back to the fact that these tools aren't intelligent and they have biases and they can hallucinate, I wouldn't necessarily trust the output of these tools. There may be areas where they can save time, like come up with 10 discussion questions and you pick one or two you remix, but they're not like taking your job and doing all the work for you to save you that amount of time. Often I find teachers have to spend just as much amount of time revising a lesson plan made by AI if they're thinking critically about how these tools work.
Well, you bring up an important point too, as as part of the misconception of it being a time saver. It's also everywhere, and I think people are feeling somewhat overwhelmed at sort of the pressures of society and maybe from your boss or from your kids to be using these tools. And you're saying like, whoa, slow down. We need to understand what they do and don't do and when and not to use them before we just dive right in. So, what are some ways that teachers can start to explore with these AI tools, but like you said, do it in a safe and productive manner?
I think for a teacher, it's going to be a process of kind of slow progressions to understand what's happening when you use AI or generative AI in particular, and then bringing students along with that process. In many ways, a teacher can only take students as far as that teacher has gone. So they need to explore, they need to try out, maybe use AI to see what happens when you asked it to help you design a learning plan for a class. But do the learning plan yourself first, and then see what AI provides. And then critically put those two things together so that you're creating the learning plan that best reflects what you want to teach that day to those students. Many years ago, Seymour Papert had this great statement about computers in schools. He asked, will the computer program the child, or will the child program the computer? It's a matter of control and agency. So teachers need to begin to use the tools as opposed to just, oh, we can't possibly do that, but see what they do and then take agency and control over them. Then as that happens, I believe then they can have students experience some of the same dynamics. You take students as far as you yourself can go. We put in our book, for all of these learning activities, we have learning activities designed around all the ISTE standards for students. And every learning activity has prompts, sample prompts, that teachers can try out with students together to see where they take them. And that's a process also of kind of understanding, unpacking, and realizing, yes, there's power and potential here, but also see what's happening. Be the critical examiner of whatever is produced. So it's that back and forth, moving forward in collaboration in classrooms and other educational settings and homes for that, families for that matter, that will really produce a literate, an AI literate and an AI informed population.
I love your approach, Bob and Torrey, to just this whole topic, and really putting it on the ownership on the individual to be using these things, but understanding their usage of them. I want to pull out something you said, Bob, and shift gears a little bit. You mentioned families, and I think that's a big part of this conversation because students are coming to school carrying some of these misconceptions over from their dinner table. They're going home from school and having these conversations about how they're using AI or how they're not using AI. So what are some conversations that should be happening around the dinner table with families who have students and kids who are starting to interact with these tools, but might not have had the time and the place to do some of the definition work that you've talked about?
I think that's, really, really important. I think we can't rely on schools to do all the teaching about AI and AI literacy because students are only in school for, 6 to 8 hours a day, and then they're at home with families and they're using these tools in a variety of ways. I thought a lot about this because I have a 2-year-old and I'm reading often about how students are using these tools often in ways that really worry me, and think about how am I going to just have conversation with my kiddo in the future, because these tools can be really scary. I mean, you talk about emotional manipulation, relationship building with AI. A lot of students nowadays are turning to these tools because it's easier to ask questions and make it feel like they're talking to a friend versus a person or adult, or using these tools to do some of their writing for them or their work for them. And so I think it just starts with being open and having conversations with kids, not banning them from the tool completely, but maybe doing so with parental supervision, which is really important. And then talking with your kids about, having parents talk with their kids about how they're using these tools. Is it helping aid their thinking, their communication, their learning, their way of seeing and understanding the world? Or is it replacing it? Is it serving as a shortcut and kind of doing the work or thinking or communication for them? I know some students have been found to use AI to write their texts with a significant other because they don't know how to write those texts, and that's AI is a shortcut in that place, and you're never really learning to write those texts yourself. So I think just providing space for conversation for parents and students and their kids to have that conversation is so important. And then yes, parental supervision and oversight of these tools is also very important, especially if these tools are embedded into everything from Snapchat to Instagram, Meta. It seems like they're just kind of everywhere that students are using tools nowadays.
Yeah.
And I suppose adults can also talk about how they might be using these tools. Recent study said at least 1 in 5 workers now use AI at least semi-regularly on the job every week. So the adults can talk about their experiences back and forth, conversation, collaboration, understanding.
Yeah, I love the approach. I love the thoughtfulness that you bring to the space, your energy for building a more civic-minded and responsible populace, and through the lens of AI, being able to use AI to supercharge that effort. Thank you so much, Bob and Torrey, for your time today, for jumping on. Again, if you are interested in winning a copy of the book, it comes out in October. There is a link down in the comments. Fill that out. We are sending one lucky winner a copy of Bob and Torrey's book on AI and civic engagement. Again, thank you so much, both of you, for being here. Are there any last words you want to leave folks with?
Oh, goodness, that's a great question. Yeah, give it a try and do so in critical ways and see where it takes you. I think it's really important, and good luck with it all. Keep exploring and figuring it out, because we need educators, we need students who are willing to do that.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and onward.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, y'all. Take care.